If you are failing university, this is how you can come back in less than 4 weeks. In this video, we will cover 4 steps. I want to give you 4 pieces of advice that you can implement today that will get back you on track in an extreme short amount of time. Why? Because I've done it myself. And I've learned these lessons through the past 4 years, and you're going to learn that in the next 30 minutes. So this will be a video where I will go through with you on my iPad. So it's kind of going to be like kind of a coaching session. So there's not going to be any crazy edits or anything that's too funny or too stimulating that I want to make sure that you keep watching, anything like that I've probably tried in other videos. There's going to be more of a serious video, but obviously we're going to just chat as if we are friends in real life, So if that's not what you're looking for, then feel free to click off. But if you're still watching, I want you to give me your full attention for the next 30 minutes or so, because we'll cover something that's very, very valuable for you. Now, there are 4 steps I will want to go through. Now let me just start sharing my screen. And okay, so step 1, if you are failing, especially if you're in medical school, because I just graduated from medical school not long ago, right? So the first thing that you have to do if you're failing and you're struggling, you don't know what's wrong, is called acceptance, okay? Now you're gonna be like, right, this is a very obvious idea, but no, just hear me out, okay? This is a level of acceptance that you're not practicing right now, okay? You have to realize how shit you are. You have to first just face it. You have to look at your grades or look at how you're doing and realize how much you are behind. I know this because I used to be you. I know every single mistake that you're probably making right now because I've made them. I was at the lowest level. If you've been watching my channel, then I've told this, multiple times. People who watched other videos of me will be nodding right now, right? Because I have literally gotten 17% in my exams because I didn't practice acceptance, or I didn't want to accept that how bad I was. Okay, so you must face it. Right, so what are some of the common lies that you would tell yourself? You would tell yourself that because I didn't learn this in A levels and some other people did, or because I didn't do this, I didn't have a previous degree and some other people did. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter because your exams are exactly the same, and you're going to say that you still need some time to fix your study methods because you need a whole time, and you probably did really bad in your mock or something like that, and that's fine because by the time you do your real exam, it's going to be better. Well, guess what? It's not, because you will be figuring out your study methods until literally that point. Okay, so you have to look around you, the people that you call you friends with, and the people who are doing better than you. At what aspects are you actually not as good as them? You have to see that and either go ask them how they did it, or if you still have that ego, then you have to at least accept yourself and sit down with yourself and figure out what is it that you need to do. Okay, so in this channel, we'll obviously explore more in detail what exactly you can do and how you can put down your ego over time for your benefit, really. But that is basically the first step, right? Secondly, is that you just have to do the right thing. You just have to do one right thing. Okay, so let me write that down for you. Just do one. Let's just do one thing right. What do I mean by that? Well, let me describe your life right now. If you are failing, you're struggling, you click on this video, chances are not just one thing is going wrong, is it? Multiple things are going wrong in your life right now. Probably maybe that your routine is obviously messed up, you're not sleeping enough, or you're sleeping way too much, you find yourself scrolling on social media all the time because you're kind of trying to distract yourself from the fact that you're not doing well enough, and because of that your self-esteem is constantly extremely low, and you don't really feel like talking to people who are exceeding in medical school, and as a result of that you still feel lonely, so you spend time with people who you don't really want to associate with, but you feel lonely, so you want to feel like you at least have some friends who maybe are not even doing worse than you. So you feel like, you know what, it's still fine. But at the end of the day, the exam's going to come and you know that for a fact, but you try to ignore that. So a lot of things are going wrong. And maybe you're addicted to things that, you're very ashamed of. Maybe you're playing video games for a lot. Especially in this period, you used to not play so much video games, but because you're stressed, the old patterns kick in. Maybe you're even doing things like you're watching a lot of things you shouldn't be watching on the internet, So when everything falls apart and you don't know what to do, maybe you've been watching other self-improvement videos and you just simply cannot find the way to pick everything back up because there's so many things that are just on the ground in pieces. Here is my piece of advice for you, because I've been through this so many times. You have to just pick one thing and do it right. You just have to pick one thing in your life and fix it. And that thing can be as small as finding the cup that's on your desk right now that's not washed, that you maybe had a coffee last night, or maybe you had some sort of drink, maybe there's a tin of Coke or something. Just get up. If that's really the case, just pause this video, get up, put it in the bin, and then come back and watch the rest of this video, right? You just have to do one thing. And that one thing might not matter at all, but it serves two exact purposes, okay? Two exact purposes. And we need to write this down. The first purpose is that it will make you respect yourself just a little bit more, okay? And the fact that maybe you listen to this advice right now and you did it, you can already feel slightly better. Not because that tin of Coke is in the bin right now, it doesn't really matter, but the fact that you're doing something towards a more organized life will make you like yourself a bit more. Why do we hate ourselves when we're lonely? Why do we feel so depressed when we're lonely? Not solely because, we don't have friends. Yeah, obviously you're lonely and you're isolated. But a big part of that is because we don't like spending time with the version of ourselves, and we don't like seeing ourselves just alone. Like, we don't like spending time with ourselves. Why? Because we don't respect ourselves for the things that we have or haven't done, for the things that we should have, maybe we're procrastinating, maybe we're, for whatever reason, we don't like ourselves in that moment. That's why we feel lonely. So it's the same thing here. I know you've got so many things that you need to catch up on, you need to do, but start by just tidying your environment. Start by doing one thing right. They will say, start by getting up early and making your bed. That might even be too hard for you right now. Right? You probably can't get up at please don't set alarm for 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's not going to happen. So start by something even smaller, like washing a mug on your desk, or like making sure you brush your teeth. You might be that low right now. Maybe you're haven't brushed your teeth in 3 days. Then in that case, start brushing your teeth. Like, literally go right now to your toilet and do that. So you have to do one thing right to respect yourself, right? And the second exact thing it does is that it builds a momentum, okay? So here's something that I want to teach you today that I guarantee you haven't heard about this anywhere else, but it's an absolute fact that I want to drill into your mind, okay? I'm going to draw you a picture. So let's imagine this is, let's call it a neutral point, okay? And the way that our lives work is when you do something where you respect yourself, when you do something good, okay? Let's say we've all learned math when we were young, and the number line where when you go right it's like plus and go more positive, and when you go left it's like take away or negative, right? So it's the same thing. So when you do something good, let's say, it builds a momentum to the right, okay, like that, right? And then when you do something where you respect yourself less, so maybe it could be as small as something like you didn't brush your teeth today, or maybe it could be something like you didn't wash your dishes immediately after you had dinner, or it could be something slightly bigger like you didn't attend class, or maybe it's that you used AI on the most recent essay, but you lied and to everyone, you said you did it yourself. Anything like that, right? We draw arrow this way. So that's something bad. Now, all of those things that you're doing, either good or bad, good, the definition being good is that it makes you like yourself more, and definitely bad is makes you hate yourself a bit more. So either good or bad, it's not just a thing, it's not just there. It's almost like it's always a vector. So what that means is it has a direction, it has a force with it, so it builds momentum, right? So maybe you did something very bad, but it's small. It would cause an arrow that goes that way, but it's going more and more that way, just very slowly. But it's still going to the left. And if you do something that's good for you, then it draws a very small arrow, but at least it's going right. And the more you go right, the more easier it is to keep going right. And the more you go left, the easier it is to keep going left. Okay, so in life, what happens is we'll keep doing things that are good for us, then bad for us, good for us, and bad for us. But here's the thing. If you have made a lot of mistakes, if you have done a lot of bad things in a row or consistently for a period of time, then what happens is you keep drawing arrows to that way, right? You keep drawing and it becomes easier and easier and easier to stay that way. Okay, and it becomes harder and harder to even pull yourself to do anything good. So imagine like how hard it is to draw a small arrow when you're like here. You wouldn't even see the small arrow because all you see is getting the bigger and bigger arrow to the left. Does that make sense? And here is the other thing. The manifestation, the mental health manifestation of either of these things do not show up, like we don't feel it until we are around either here or here. What that means is you feel depressed, you feel like you hate yourself, you feel like you need to watch this video when you're already here, when you're already in that area. So when you're here, you're not feeling it, you're just enjoying the slight guilty kind of comfort that you're getting out from cutting corners, but you don't know that you're going that way. The same thing with doing good. Okay, you will only feel like everything is in place when you reach here. But how do we reverse? How do we reverse our position? It's by at least start doing something good. And it will start traveling to the right subtly. Maybe you won't feel the difference. As I said, you won't feel like all of a sudden all your problems are gone, but at least you're setting yourself up to start moving back, to start building momentum to the right. Okay, so this is why I'm saying, just do one thing right now. Okay, just do one thing that makes you like yourself a little bit more. Okay, notice I'm not even talking about studying right now. I will, but these two things are the fundamentals. That's why that you've been trying to study, you're trying to promise, like, I promise tonight I have to do 2 hours of cardiology. Tonight I have to study, I have to memorize that thing. You didn't do it. And now maybe it's tonight and you're dreading the right now, aren't you? You're wasting time watching this. So of course you're not going to do it. So these two things, if you haven't done, do them first. Now the third piece of advice I want to give you is a little bit more advanced, okay? It's called cut them off. Now, if you know what's wrong with you, or if you're a little bit advanced and a little bit self-aware, then you already know what I mean. But if you're not, that's fine. Let's talk about it. You have to cut off the people in your life who aren't contributing to your goals. It's just as simple as that, especially if you're in medical school. This is a ultra realistic world that we live in, especially in med school where everything is competition, right? And maybe you're in first year, like I was. And I remember, let me tell you my story actually. I remember when I got into medical school in first year, a big part of my mind was saying, right, we finally have the freedom to socialize. We need to make sure we make a lot of friends. So our uni used to have these parties every Friday, right? On campus, it's kind of like a club. And I used to go every single Friday and get drunk with my few friends because I felt like I need to take advantage of this. I need to make sure that I get drunk because it's just a culture. But it isn't. Because of that, I nearly failed med school. I nearly got kicked out. I had to repeat my year. And I even got into a relationship. And as much as that relationship was great, it was probably the first proper relationship I had to end that relationship and it was painful. Right, we can talk about that in detail in a different time, but just know that you do not want to wait until the day where you have to say, we need to take a break to some girlfriend or boyfriend you got yourself into. You want to just know where your boundaries are. You want to be able to cut people off who doesn't mind it anyways. And I can tell you, in the first year of medical school, I made a lot of friends who were doing some random other degrees like history of art or like psychology, anything like other degrees that do not align with my routines and lifestyle. Obviously, no disrespect to any other degrees, but we just had different lifestyle. The only time we would meet is during those clubs. I'll see the same people every single Friday at the same place and we'd get drunk, we'd get shots together. All of those people do not matter. You do not have to go to some events because those people said you have to go, because they do not understand the amount of weight on your shoulders. And you do not have to force them to understand that either. They don't have to understand. It's your life. You have to take control of that. So I'm not saying go to them and say we can't be friends anymore, or you're acting like an asshole. No, just deep down in your mind, you have to prioritize. You have to learn what's important before it's too late. So the actionable step for you is right now, sit here with me and think in your mind, let's say the 3 people who you would go out with just because they said, come, it's going to be fun. And you know for a fact, the type of activities that you would do with them includes drinking, talking shit, and coming back at 2, 3 a.m., ruining your next day of uni or study plan. So those people you do not want to associate yourself with, because if you do, you're going to end up, not becoming friends with them anyways, because as you progress through med school, you will basically, the most realistic thing is they will graduate in front of you and they will move on to finding jobs or they'll move out and you will not have contact with them. It's simply not worth it. That's just my experience to you as someone who has experienced all of that. It's up to you if you want to listen or not, because I know 90% of people who are still watching this will not take my advice. So if you're that 10%, imagine how far ahead you will get. Imagine how much you will achieve if you actually are that 10% that take actions. So number 3, cut them off. Number 4, final thing is to develop a killer study method, right? And here's the thing, right? If I'm honest with you, I could have just started with this because this is probably the most core thing that you need to do to achieve the academics comeback. But the thing is, if I told you this, it wouldn't actually help you. You wouldn't actually have that academic. You would get you have this. I would teach you how to have an academic comeback. I would teach you some study method, and it would make sense to you, but you won't actually be able to utilize it. You won't actually have even a chance to use it in your life because you have to fix all of those things. You have to have a good mental health. You have to have a good routine. You have to have things set up so you have space and an opportunity to implement a better study method. So I hope that makes sense to you. So now, what I'm going to tell you in this video about implementing a good study method, I'm going to give you a framework that I have learned to develop in the past 5 years, okay? So the framework contains 3 R's. Okay? So the first R is realistic. Realistic. And the second R is relevant. And third R is a routine. If you have those 3 R's, then you don't even have to study like 8 hours a day. You study 2 to 4 hours a day, you can still achieve something crazy. Okay, because I've done it. So realistic. Your study method has to be realistic. I'll give you an example. In the first day of my medical school, I failed my exam and I told myself, right, it's because I haven't been working hard enough. Obviously, that was not true, but I didn't know at the time. So I thought I didn't work hard enough. So what did I do? I failed in the test in anatomy. So I bought the Grey's Anatomy student edition, whatever, because apparently it was for students. It was easy to read. No, it wasn't. It was really, really difficult. There were so many things that I did not need to know to pass my first day exam. And I remembered grinding through that book in my apartment. And I think by that time it was COVID, so I was living alone. And I had this book in front of me. I had a little lamp. You know, like the Pinterest aesthetic study vibe? I had exactly that, right? It looks like my life was going in the right direction. It looks like I was doing the exact right thing because it looks like I was creating a picture of a medical student grinding away, and I was playing the main character. But it didn't help. I still didn't pass my anatomy exam. And I even used this at the time of med school, like give us all this account for this 3D model thing. And I was using it like it was like a virtual reality kind of app, like a simulation where you can like basically dissect someone. Didn't help. Didn't help. The only thing that helped was actually later I realized going through the lecture slides, going through the things that the uni gave me. It's so simple, isn't it? It's so straightforward, but you're not doing it. You think you're better than those things. You think that you should use this fancy resource. You think you should go on Geeky Medics or Amboss. Before you go on to those things, have a look again at what your university is giving you. And I think this especially applies to like students coming from my sort of background, like kind of Asian or Indian, like kind of ethnic background, because growing up, we're used to the idea of we have to work harder than everyone else to get ahead. And the way to work harder sometimes is to just completely bypass what your institution give you and find something way more difficult, 10 times more complicated, and just grind through that thing. And then you come back as kind of a god, right? That kind of mindset will kill you. Please do not take up that mindset. Maybe it worked when you were in your school, in your home country, but that's not how it works here. Find the thing that's realistic, okay? Find the thing that you can go through. And relevant. And let's move on to the second bit. And relevant. The thing that your university gives you, that is the most relevant thing. And it's probably a smaller amount, more concise version where it's realistic to go through and it's relevant for the exam. That's all you need to do. And lastly, routine. So you have to have a good study routine. I talked to a colleague of mine recently who basically we had our medical school finals, right? And she didn't pass her medical school finals recently. I'm not going to tell you more about this person, but one thing that when we're talking about is she was studying to prepare for the resit. She was studying like 24/7. So she gets up, study until the point that she's tired, and she goes to bed, and then she wakes up and she studies. And she doesn't know what to do because there's so much to go through. And I just said to her, you do realize that your brain doesn't work at its 100% all the time when it's awake. In matter of fact, if you work your brain on studying all the time when you're awake, it's actually working at 20% all the time. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that. If you don't have a routine and you just study when you're panicking, or worst case scenario, you're studying all the time, you're actually achieving less than me, who was studying 2 hours a day, but my brain was working at 120%. Does that make sense? So you have to have a routine where, let's say you're going to work from 8 o'clock to 12 midday. You have to make sure you sit down at 7:55 and you work from exactly 8 o'clock and you finish your working at 12, because you have prepared your mind to work, like go all in that mode. It's fully focused. It has a frame where it can work in. Only when you have a frame, your mind can kind of just go all out, reach its maximum. If you take that frame away and you're basically telling your mind, right, go as hard as you can, do you really think your mind is going to work as hard as it can? Because it doesn't even know what is the hardest. It's just trying harder. It's the same as saying, like, here's a better example, right? I'll give you 5 minutes, okay, to write as many letters as you can on the paper, versus I'll give you 5 minutes to write 200 letters on a piece of paper. At the end of the 5 minutes, which one do you think will make you write more letters? Do you know what? You can actually do this. If you're really invested in my ideas, you can do this after this video. I guarantee you it's the second, because you will probably be finishing up on that 200 letters in the span of 5 minutes, because your mind is so focused on every single second. Like, you have to, like, okay, right, so I have to write how many letters in each second to reach that. And then every single second you're trying to reach that little goal, right? So let's say 200 letters in 5 minutes. That's like 40 in a minute. Okay, that's not hard, right? Let's say 1,000 letters in 5 minutes. Then that's like 200 in a minute, right? You said 200 in a minute, which means there are 60 seconds in a minute. That means I have to write like 3 point something, right, in each second. So each second, you're like, right, I have to, like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like, your mind is so focused because you have that framework. Maybe you won't finish it at the end of 5 minutes, but you would have done a lot more than if I just say, right, do your best, see how many you can write, do as many as you can in 5 minutes. I guarantee you wouldn't have written as many as if you did the other way. So it's the same thing. If you're studying all the time, your brain is honestly just working as 20%. It's not the right way. It's not the smart way to have an academic comeback, especially if you want to achieve something, faster than other people. That's literally not the opposite of studying smart. So realistic, relevant, and routine. And that is the framework I want you to take away from this video. Right, if you want to watch my other videos, I have dived much deeper and more detailed into how to study for a medical school exam and how to study in general. What are the first principles? That's basically what I talk about on this channel. So if you want, you can check those out. And finally, before we finish, we've got 3 minutes left. I want to just give you a small plug on something I'm developing right now. So I'm trying to create an online community for medical professionals to study better, to develop a superior study techniques, and to educate people on their mental health while they're in medical school or while they are being a medical professional. So I have my first course. I'm already writing it. Let me just show you quickly. So my first course, I will be recording a video course on achieving an extreme academic comeback as someone struggling with university and family expectations, because that was me, right? So I can write that and I can teach you, if you're in the same position, exactly what to do. I will go extremely detailed. So I've been writing out scripts for that. So that's going to be the first course that I want to launch in that online community. So hopefully that would be very valuable to you. So I'm thinking of launching some pre-sale thing in early June this year. So if you're interested, let me know, comment in the comment section what sort of modules, what sort of topics that you want me to include. So there's no rush to that, but give me ideas and I'll make sure to include those in my course. And that's it for today. That was 2-minute little ad. That's not even the product I'm selling currently, but just keep that in mind. And if you want, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. If you don't, that's fine as well. Then I'm sorry I wasted your time. I'll see you in the next one.